and welcome to another episode of the Southern in Hospitality, where we are going to be we are going to be highlighting Black people in the hospitality industry, specifically in the South, hearing a little bit about them, what brought them to this industry, what they've learned from it, and encouraging words that they can give for people in their field who may be working in this industry as well right now while they work towards other things. So this guest is one of my closest friends, and we met working at restaurants. Like I think everyone else everyone is pretty much. Um, so I'll go ahead and let her tell you a little bit about herself. This is Brittany. So
Hey y'all, what it do? My name is Brittany Staten. I am an actor by trade, but I've been in the hospitality industry for over 10 years now as like my day job, and I've done everything in the hospitality industry from hosting, serving, bartending, managing, catering. So I, I'm deep in this game.
you are very deep in. And you went to school for theater, correct?
I did. I paid all that money to dance and sing on stage.
I mean, yes, you think it was a good investment?
It was what I wanted to do, and that's the best investment
Mm,
to
okay.
be able to do what I love. So
Mm,
I'll never regret it. I went mostly on scholarship anyway, so I'm not like drowning in debt of student loans or anything.
mm,
Um, but yeah, because um, my parents pushed education, but wasn't nobody pushing no education paycheck. So,
mm, mm. There you go.
I took it upon myself to get my own, a few loans and scholarships and grants and all that stuff. So, I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go concentrate on what I want to do, which is acting, and I know it's a skilled profession, and I want to learn as much as I can about it. And I'm a lover of the arts. Um, so yeah, I'm very happy with my decision.
Now, what brought you to Atlanta?
It was one of those things where I grew up in Statesboro, so South Georgia. So I'm from Georgia. And then when I was 14, my family had moved to Indiana. So I went to high school in Indiana and subsequently college. I went to Butler University. And after I graduated, I was like, I'm not going to have an acting career in Indiana or the Midwest in general. I didn't really want to stay doing theater necessarily, even though that was my training and I loved it and I grew up on it. I knew I wanted to focus on TV and film. And so, being a creative, artistic person, we all like have dreams of New York or LA. And I always had this thing about New York, but I was like, I think I had about $100 when I graduated. So it was like, there's no way I'm gonna make it to New York. I didn't have any connections. I didn't know anybody,
Yeah.
and I was just nervous about going. And so I was like, okay, well, where can I go now? Because I was like, I need to leave Indiana. I need to do something to start my career. Let me try something. I was like, but I'm not really sure if I can do LA or New York right now, at the age of 22. And so I was like, okay, well, I had some family in Southern Georgia. I had a cousin who was living here in Atlanta. Um, and I was just like, well, let me try. I know they've got like Tyler Perry out there and a couple things that film out there. So let me just go for it. So I literally packed the two suitcases I had and took a megabus, RIP, to megabus
Not the double decker.
down to Atlanta. Yes, that's what got me here.
Yeah. See, and I'm glad you came. Now the funny thing is, I always tell people like a lot of people that I meet in this industry, are from other places and or they may have grown up somewhere else, and when they come to Atlanta, and they work in the restaurant industry, it's like a completely like different world. It's like a culture shock sometimes because it's like it's not necessarily working in like a small town where you would just never meet anybody. Do you feel like the restaurant industry has played a part in your creative career?
I think it, yeah, but I feel like my creative career helped me be better in hospitality. So it's kind of reversed
Yeah.
in that with theater training, you do public speaking and you're doing improv and you're, performing nightly on your feet. And so it's like in the hospitality industry, you're working doubles, you're working long hours, you're on your feet, basically improvising when you go up to these tables and start conversations, and you can't be afraid to speak. I hate when I go somewhere and someone's so like meek and mild and can't look me in my eye, and I'm like, are y'all okay? Hello? I'm like, damn. So it was kind of, the restaurant was kind of a stage, and that's kind of what made it fun. And really what's really fun about, I know a lot of servers do, they just be lying. Pretty much. Like, oh, hey, I'm doing this to pay my way through school, working for my kids that I ain't got, taking up this trade, like.
You told somebody you had kids, you were working for your kids before?
Listen, hey, you got to do what you got to do. I'm not saying I did or didn't. I'm just saying you can get a little creative in this industry. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, so it really helps in just making it a fun thing, and in return, that does make you a better server, and it just helps you relate to people more, because this is the type of industry where, we always say that restaurants, the hospitality industry, like hotels, restaurants, things of that nature, are the great equalizer, because everybody has to eat, no matter what socioeconomic, status you have. And of course, things kind of vary. The type of foods that people eat, or the higher end restaurants kind of separate people, or the neighborhoods in which they're in. But literally everybody eats. And so it allows you to meet so many new people, and could open yourself up to lots of opportunities that you might not otherwise have had.
Did you see yourself, like, when you got your first restaurant job? Were you like, all right, this is just going to be for now, or did you see a future in it?
No, I mean, like I said, this was supposed to be, a day job type thing. And, but I always knew, and it was always kind of a thing in the, the actors is a waitress until they get their big break. So it's always been a thing amongst creatives. There's so many musicians, artists, actors, things like that have been servers, hosts, done all types of things. It's just a thing, and it's almost like connected in a way. It's like it's in expected that, if you're pursuing a creative career, you're going to do something like this. Every acting class, all the teachers and all that say, they're like, get you a flexible job when you can make good money to sustain yourself, but one that you can take time off, be gone for long periods of time, or give short notice, or ones that you can pick up in different cities, if you have to move or travel or somewhere. So it kind of always has been hand in hand with creative careers.
Absolutely. Now, I remember it's a restaurant group here, and I want to say it's Ford Fry. Mm-hmm. Did you work for Ford Fry?
I did.
You worked at Super Rica, right?
I opened Super Rica Krog.
Good God. Bless your heart. Yeah. I know you went through their training. I remember they had this guy come in when I was going to work for them, and he was like, I guess, I don't necessarily know if he was like a hospitality teacher or coach, but we had to do like this huge training at like their headquarters. And it was like cooks, servers, like anyone that was coming into the company. And it was a guy teaching us about body language. Mm-hmm. And he was telling us the story of, I don't know if it was if he was talking about someone else that did it or he did it himself, but it was this resort, I want to say. And I say resort in quotes because it could have been anything else. But he put this call out in like the papers and ads and everything. And he put a call out for actors. He was like, you're an actor, musicians, like you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like he was like, yeah, like if you're this, like come here. Mm-hmm. And, it turned out to be like in hospitality jobs. Yeah. And but he was like, because he realized the connection, and he was like, these people are going to be the ones to put on a show and make your guests feel the most welcome. So it is definitely a huge connection in the arts and I guess the industry, because you do have to perform. Yeah. It's like, man, I might have a hangover, or I might just be having a bad day, or about, anything could be going on, but you have to like suck it up and, hi, welcome to so-and-so. This your first time? And it's like, it's like, and then you got to go back to your service station and just be like, oh, I hate it here. I want to cry. It's
like, because it's all about experience. Even as an artist, like you craft the experience for them. You know, that's why people go to the movies and go to concerts because it's an all encompassing thing, and it's just like live theater or live music. It's just like being in a restaurant. You go for the experience because you can get your groceries and cook and eat at home, but you go out to eat so that you can enjoy different foods and interact with different people and get out and observe the environment and have a nice ambiance. So it's an all encompassing experience. So it does help to have those people in those creative fields because I feel like they do thrive in that type of environment.
Mhm. And I think it also has to be, it's like up to like the company that you work for too to encourage that.
Yeah.
Like I remember the one place I worked at, where they had like guests for life, and everybody knows where I'm talking about. But they had the guests for life, and it was like every day in pre-shift it was okay. Like they knew they had a whole bunch of characters on staff, so they knew it was gonna show out anyway. They
Yeah.
were like, let's turn this into something positive, you know.
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, we have these guests for life, and um, you the goal is every table you want to make them guests for life. Like you create, like that's where I really learned that like servers are like curators.
Mm-hmm.
They're like experienced curators because like a server literally has the power to control your entire experience.
Yeah.
If your server is, even if the food is bad, if your server is terrible,
Yeah.
or if your that like that makes the difference. It's like the food was bad and they sucked, but if the food was bad and they were on top of it and they did everything that they possibly could, then you know what? It may have made the experience a little like, and so I don't think a lot of people look at it that way because they're not looking at it like they're like, oh, like this is you're here, you're jolly, and it's like I am putting on a show, I am clocked in, I am reading from a script. How may I help you?
Yeah.
Like, so that's why it's always interesting to me, like when people get into the restaurant industry, and for one, can't really do it, like you said, they're kind of like timid or like, hey, like just write your order down right here. I'll come back and bring it. Like it's like I don't know how to talk to
Yeah.
you. People who are like that, they kind of jump into it, or people who just don't like people.
Mm-hmm.
That's also a thing. It's like so everything agitates you.
Yeah.
Everything bother you.
Yeah.
Me being here bother you.
Yeah.
So what? Like how it's like
And to be like that in a tipped based job is crazy work. What? Huh? I mean, I can understand. You work for the government. You get your paycheck. You don't care. You don't give a fuck. Like you go get your money regardless. That's how them ladies down at the DMV.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah, they be like,
I'm
cool.
gonna get my money regardless. I can have a bad day, but you asking for 20% of the bill, and you got an attitude, or you're absent, or you're just irritable. Come on, man.
Now do you still tip 20% if the service is bad?
I haven't been out in a while. Okay, I'm trying to think. Like, I haven't been really out to where it's like service was just terrible, and I didn't. And to be honest, a lot of places now are doing that auto gratuity, so I don't even get the chance.
You don't even get a chance to not tip 20%.
Exactly. But I've never been the person that's like, oh, I'm not gonna tip the service is bad. If the service is bad, then you probably won't get 20%. But I'll still do tip something. You know what I mean? And bad is subjective. I really haven't had issues. I know a lot of people have, but I haven't really had issues with someone just being like absolutely just mean or rude. I have had instances where someone seems like maybe overworked, or they had too many tables, or maybe they were a bit negligent. And that I can understand, especially if you're overwhelmed or y'all are short staffed. That happens a lot. So I'm pretty forgiving. But yeah, if someone's just like flat out rude, really, if someone's flat out rude or it's just not going well, you can just ask for a manager and get another server. You know what I mean? You don't have to take this. No, because
you don't have to.
Listen, take the power back. Everybody's talking about the rude hosts or rude servers or rude hairdressers. Huh? The people you paying? Take your power back. What does Umar say? You got to take your freedom. Harriet Tubman had to take it.
You do. I mean, it's like if you shut them down, it's but at the same time, like.
And I always come with good energy too. I feel like I'm never gonna be rude. I've never cussed nobody out. That's crazy to me. we're all humans, we're all adults. We can communicate effectively, you know. So I'm not the type to go off or go crazy. But if it's not up to par, I'm gonna be like, 9 times out of 10, if it's just not up to par, I'm just never gonna come back.
Pretty much.
That's what it is.
That's kind of the thing. Like I think sometimes people make like this huge deal. Like I remember when T.I. was like boycotting Houston's. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
It was years ago. He was boycotting it. It was for some reason. I gotta look. You know what? While we do this, I'll look it up. But yeah, so
And then the turnaround. Did you just see recently somebody was talking about his restaurant?
Bankhead Seafood or Trap City?
It was one of his restaurants, and someone had complaints of.
Bankhead just reopened.
Okay.
The Trap's been open.
And they had like a 20% service fee or something, and I'm like,
probably it might be both of them.
Someone was like, "Oh, I'm not tipping gratuity because it was already a 20% service fee." And I'm like, "What?"
Okay, but see, okay, well then that brings up the issue of was it a service? Like, what is the service fee? Like, is that like what like Uber Eats or something charges?
What is a fee? Let's start there. What is this? If people just put fee and a dollar amount,
you know
what is this?
Let me tell you what I have learned about restaurants in Atlanta, and I know you have a lot to say about restaurants in Atlanta, but I feel like, and I said this with other interviews because now I think I told you about like what New York pays hourly for.
I know it's like $7.25, is it?
It's $10.65.
Damn.
Ain't that about a bitch? I was like,
but you also have to remember, like, it's $3,000 to rent an apartment in New York. So.
It's about to be that here. Hell, like it doesn't. That was what really, and I said, okay, I can understand the cost of living is more, but it's pretty. Especially in a place like Atlanta, the rent's pretty much getting there.
It's
so to say that $213 is still enough now, and I'm not saying that it's not enough because I did this for 15 years, and for a majority of that time, it was $213. I made that per hour, and you know, I had my good days, my bad days with it. You know, you learn after a certain amount of time how to just manage your money better.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, make your money in the summer, save up for winter, because if you don't work at a place that doesn't have buyouts or whatever, you're not going to be that busy. You know, it's not going to pick up again until like after Valentine's Day. You got to learn the pattern of that, which is fine. But like now, I feel like restaurants are trying to get away with just not paying their staff. Like, I feel like if you work at a restaurant as a server, it's like strippers working and having to pay the DJ and the bouncer and the, you know, the X, Y, and Z. It's like, okay, I'm a server. I'm really like just the main face of this thing moving. And I have to do a percentage to the busser. I have to do a percentage to the bartender. I have to do a percentage to the food runners. This is if you work at a place that has all the moving parts that you need, you know, everything necessary to have like efficient service, you know. I have to tip all these people out, you know, and it's like they don't get to make them. And it's like I remember having that issue as a server, but at the same time, I also like, it's like I cared, but I didn't care. Because like I never, you know, we worked together. So it's like I never really cared about like, oh, I'm tipping the busters too much. Because they was cool with me. They helped me out. You know, like I don't care about that. Yeah. But now I think restaurants are like, we're doing fees for X, Y, or Z. I don't know where it was. It was someplace, and they were like, it was one of the fees was like health insurance or like service insurance.
Chance. I remember
it was like
got on social media, and everyone was like, "What?
I gotta pay to live."
It was like a 3% add-on, and I know one of the restaurants I worked for, they had that too, but during COVID times, and it was like a 3% fee that'll like go to the kitchen or what have you. I think because they had reduced hours. Yeah. And they only were doing like takeout and stuff like that. So it was just kind of to help. But I mean, even so, it's just the restaurant model is not sustainable because it was based on, I'm sure you've seen that video that circulated, like how tipping was based on basically slavery.
Oh, you know how I feel about Southern hospitality. You know
so
me, that's
it's just like, and when you know, tell restaurants or when servers or hospitality workers push for, you know, higher wages, they were like, well, small businesses can't afford that and you're going to close this down. It's because it's not a good model. If your business can't afford to pay people to work, then your business
can't afford to
be open.
Facts.
And the fact that even in 2024, it's still $2.13 an hour for, you know, tips workers, for servers, for bartenders, for sometimes even hosts. You know, they'll take them down and just do a tip share. but yeah, it's just not sustainable. And the older I get, the more I think about it, I'm like, okay, and look at and travel outside of America and see like tipping is not what it is
Other places.
in Europe and other places like it is here. I've been to like Paris and Greece and all this other stuff, and it's like you can tip, but it's like maybe 10%, but it's not like a forced thing, and you're cheap or you're broke or you're wrong or you're starving your server if you don't give them a fifth of your bill.
Yeah.
And I know some people are so passionate, like, well, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out. But it's also like you have to look at it. Why are they putting it on the consumer to pay the server?
Yeah.
It should be that the business pays their workers. And so I don't know how to make it sustainable. I know there's some restaurants that have, I think like on the West Coast, there was like a restaurant that got rid of tipping and they just did like an hourly, maybe like $20 an hour, 15 to $20 an hour, something like that. And they don't ask for tips. It's not on the like receipt. It's just not a thing. And they've kind of raised their prices. And I understand like for restaurants, you have like your overhead for your buildings, your rent. You've got food costs and margins. You've got to pay out for your labor. And then so many things you have to clear, like your permits, food permits, liquor permits. You know, all of the things that you need, and those are on a yearly basis. You have to constantly pay for those. But to just not pay your service, and then all of the work that gets done outside of service workers making tips, it's like being there an hour beforehand and cleaning and all the busing and things. If you don't have like buses or essays and stuff, and then afterwards rolling silverware, which can take forever, and cleaning up the restaurant and turning it over and sweeping and mopping and cleaning bathrooms and all this stuff, where you're technically not really getting paid for. It's not sustainable.
Sometimes it's just like I don't think this is worth it. Like it's like okay, I may have made $100 tonight. Like if it was like a slow night.
Yeah.
All right, I may have just averaged $100 after my tip out for everybody. But then I got to stay a whole extra 2 hours after my shift to roll 50 to 100 silverware things for tomorrow for them to open up. And that would be easy if all 10 servers didn't have to do this, and now we got to fight over silverware because the dishwasher is pissed at everybody because they've been throwing shit at him all night. So he's taking his precious fucking time because he don't care what time y'all get out of there because this nigga got to be here all night. So he don't care. He gonna be the last one to leave. So it's like, now I gotta sit up here. It is just like I don't mind side. Like I never minded. I don't care. Like I pick what I'm good at and stick with that side work, but there were times when it was like, why we gotta do so? Can't y'all like? I remember like once I worked at like I want to say it was Barcelona that had a cleaning company, but like it wasn't the only. Oh, Serena when I managed it, like they had like the servers when they were done, and like that was like the easiest job to manage. Like you didn't even have to like close out money at the end of the night because it was just like you hit a few buttons, do a printout, boom. The servers, like the company paid for a cleaning service overnight. So the servers really just had to, clean their section up, set the tables, this and that. They didn't have to do like heavy sweeping and mopping and all that. Just, a little light, whatever. And, like not even with the bathrooms and stuff. It was like cleaning company. Even with the line and kitchen, they helped everyone get out. And like if we closed at 10, I mean, it was like rare that we were out of there, but like close to 11. Like we were gone. It was so easy. But I'm like, a lot of restaurants don't make it that easy. They put so much work on the staff to pick up the slack of like, okay, we're starting off. We can't afford to have 2 busters on right now. And I'm like, well, you can't afford to open every day. If you can't afford to have, and that's just, but every server works different. Like I know servers who are amazing and who have been trained to, manage the entire section for themselves. It's like I'm used to working at places where I have a 5, maybe like a 3, 4, 5 table section, something small, just so that because I don't have a busser, I don't have an essay, I don't have a food runner, a drink runner, whatever. So I got to do so much. So it's like I have to focus on that. But then you have some people like me who that would never work for me. I hate that with a passion because I'm like, nah, baby, I like moving parts. Like, which do you think works better? Like, do you think the group, like the smaller sections, you doing it all yourself? Because it also plays into service. Like, which do you think plays better and which do you enjoy more?
Like smaller sections versus
like the whole like you in your just you and then someone else like a front server, back server, or a server with a server assistant, and like the entire whole shebang of having people in the kit like food runners and this and that, because like I said, some places just don't have like, you got to listen out for your food, you got to listen out for your drinks, just everything.
I don't know. It's kind of a give and take because the first like full time restaurant I walked in was Super Weekend, and they did have everything. Like they had bar backs, and they had expo, and they had food runners, and they had essays, and like they had multiple essays a night. So one would just be doing chips and salsa because that's what you start the table off with, and it was free. So of course people would be burning through that all night, and so trying to do that as a server would be too much in your section. So it's like you'd be like, "Hey, can you grab some chips for this table?" And then like you have somebody running the food. Like obviously you have hands to help, but there's a designated food runner for the night and a designated bar back and doing all that. So it was nice, but also it was like, you know, 30-40% of my check was gone because you're tipping out expo a percentage, you're tipping out all of the essays a percentage, you're tipping out the bar back a percentage, you're tipping out the bar some of your a percentage of your liquor sales, and then you get taxed, and then we got it on the check. So it was like, you could have a good week where you made 900,000, but you're only taking home like 500-600. So it's like the help was nice, but then it was like you paying for it. And then I've had it to where, we didn't have all of that, and like at the restaurant that we worked at, we didn't have all of that, but we just ran our food and stuff. We tipped at the bar, but we were getting cash, and during the winter holidays, like the cash was great. Yeah, that was great. But it was also like, you got to make sure that the silverware is rolled, and you got to mop at the end of the night, and you got to run your food. But we also had much smaller sections because the restaurant was so small. So it's like, I don't know which I prefer because they both have their pros and cons. The one I will say is I love making cash. I want to. That was my favorite restaurant.
At the end of the day, the day gon' end.
At the end of the day, I'm walking out with 200-300 in my pocket, and Uncle Sam right in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because we gonna report the cash. And they're gonna know how much we make. But it wasn't like, especially if you're like single, no dependents. Oh, they got their hands in your pocket. They getting their check. But so yeah, places with cash every night was my absolute favorite. And usually those are ones that like don't have all of the excess staff.
Yeah.
Because they're not tipping out. So I guess I would kind of prefer to where I take majority of the responsibilities, but I'm getting majority of the money, and I'm getting my cash at night. And that helped me too, because I was like, I could see where my cash is going. If your money's going on direct deposit in your car, you just swipe it. I'm not checking my bank account every day. I can see how much cash I got in my wallet every day. I'm like, all right, let me use this for this, this for this. I'm put this in my bank for these bills and stuff like that. So, cash is king for me.
See, and I was a huge fan of cash in like, I guess like most of my restaurant career, but I think after like certain things happened, like like the like Chelsea, the manager from Barcelona that I worked with that got killed in the restaurant. In the actual, like it's just things like that. Like, and like I think once Atlanta kind of like it took a turn to where I understand cashless places now.
I understand it, but it's also like I understand the push for it, and also during COVID too, there was an actual coin shortage.
Yeah.
So they just weren't like producing cash and coins like that. But I just feel like it leaves a lot of vulnerable people out, because we'll have, if someone's like houseless and someone gives them cash and they try to come and get food, we don't take cash. Or it's like if someone doesn't have, a bank account, or a debit card to be able to do these transactions. They don't have a smartphone for tap to pay, or the elderly, they like to take their cash out and use it. And it's like, oh, no cash. I worked at one place for like 10 months and it was no cash. And it'd be so many people, or especially like the construction workers who are like, the immigrant workers. Listen, they would come and ball out. They could spend $100. It'd be one dude paying for 5 people, $120 cash. But it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, we don't take cash. And now you're losing business.
Yeah.
And you lose customers and you lose loyalty. And it kind of feeds into like a little bit of the conspiracy of like, why don't you take cash? Like, Why is it? It's just so it's a little strange to me.
I see both sides.
Yeah.
I see like I think even with when it comes to accepting cash at places, my biggest concern, and I managed at a place. Remember that black spot where it like just ran me out of the industry forever because that's never
Oh,
like the worst
babes.
place I ever worked in my life. But like I remember that was one of the things that was one of the concerns that I voiced was okay, we have cash that we're counting here. We're giving the service cash. Like we have a large amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
We have no security.
Yeah.
And a lot of places like that's the thing for me. I don't care how much money you have. If you have a place where cash is coming in, you need to invest in proper security. If you go to any place, if you go down to Magic City, you know why they got so much security? Yes, anything could pop off, but it's because of the money. It's if you go to a casino or any, like
Yeah.
you go to these places, they have security. Why? Because of the amount of money that they deal with. And a lot of times the business owners or whoever, like they don't invest in security. Like when Chelsea died and when she got shot at Barcelona, I remember because we had security at the Barcelona I worked at, and it was like an off-duty APD officer who would make sure because we were getting off at like 2 or 3 in the morning with cash and this and that, and some people had gotten robbed, and he like walked people to their cars or whatever. But like when that robbery happened, it was like security in the parking lot, and like but Barcelona had let the security go. Like they had like because I guess whatever reason I like the cop from the other one from Emmett Park had told me like or like when we were hanging out after her service, he was like, yeah, like they fired or whoever they got rid of the security like a little bit ago. I guess maybe nothing had happened or whatever, or they couldn't afford whatever the case was. They had none. So the security that was there when the robbery was taking place, they were like, well, they had the mindset of well, one, we don't work for them. I mean, they called 911, but they didn't even like what else to do. Like this is
Yeah.
not our our thing. And so one reason that I know like Barcelona had to go cashless was because of how pissed everybody was that happened. It's like you had someone get robbed and die in your,
Yeah.
from with your establishment that gave their whole life and career to this company over a few dollars. It's like you need to have, it's like what, and so like instantly right after she died, they went cashless because they were like, because they it was like, you know what, fuck it, we're not even taking this risk no more.
Yeah.
Like just we don't accept any of it. So that I get,
Yeah.
but and like you like I get your point too. It does leave people out, but at the same time, like it is, you know, it helps the staff to be like, okay, I know that something is either go if you're gonna go cashless, then I mean, I think you should have like other alternatives. Like, I don't think it's some way that people should be able to pay if you're going to go cashless, like tap or something, like, whatever. But if you are going to have cash, just make sure you have security.
Yeah.
That's like, there's, like I remember that brunch spot, it was like, I was like, hey, you have all this cash and you have people walking by here. Like, we had a door downstairs like that went out back to this alley, and the shit was never locked. It was like, I'll leave it unlocked for the guys coming in to paint. Now while I'm up here counting this money out, nigga, like I'm not about to like hell no. Like, but sometimes I think a lot of restaurant, people start them, the owners and investors don't look at that part of it. Like, do you feel like, I guess because we're talking about black people, do you feel like any place in Atlanta that's black owned kind of just masters like all of what we're talking about? Is like you kind of embody everything. Like you have like people feel safe there, people feel secure, the service is legit. Like you got like the model, somewhat decent. Your staff looks somewhat pleased. Like
Yeah, in my time in Atlanta, I've been to a lot of black-owned restaurants. And my experiences have ranged from, child, this is ghetto, to this is like a great experience, great food, like I'll become a regular. So I'll say, like off the top of my head, Miss Icy's in Decatur, one of my favorite restaurants. It's a Caribbean place. Every time I go, the service is nice. They got the food in stock, everything that's on the menu they got. They ain't ran out of nothing. The prices are reasonable. On the weekends they have, I think, a DJ, which, that's a little, sometimes it's a little for me with the DJ, but it's not too loud. It's a nice environment, and yeah, I enjoy it. It's I've been multiple times, and I always recommend it to people. What else? Rocksteady, of course. People love that place. The price point is like a little bit higher, especially with the drinks and stuff. And I know with that one, they do like an automatic gratuity, which, some people feel how they feel about it. But the food is amazing. And they have the downstairs, which is the restaurant, the upstairs, which is like kind of the club lounge. They always have, good DJ spinning. The people are friendly. I just went to what's it, T's Brunch Bar. That's
Oh
a
yeah, I heard
black
about
woman
that.
owned brunch spot in Midtown too. So I was like, shout out to you for paying that rent in Midtown because girl. But that's on Peachtree, and I went with my sister, and but it was packed though. We couldn't get no table, so we just found two spots at the bar. But the server was really nice. The food was great. The DJ was a little bit loud. We could turn that down just a little bit because Auntie, I can't take all that loud noise. Uh, but it was really good. So, and I think the common denominator for just having a great experience is one, really good food, and having the options, because I really hate, I honestly truly hate when it's like a menu of 17 items and you out of 14 of them. Why are you open?
We
You
got
didn't get your
sides.
shipment.
We got sides.
Like nobody came in to cook the food today. It feels like you're just not prepared. Reasonable price points, friendly, knowledgeable service. I hate when I go to the bar and I ask about a cocktail or a drink, or I ask for a certain spirit. You don't even know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, how are you serving drinks and you're not well versed on this, or you don't know what's in the food, or you haven't taken the time to educate yourself on this.
What kind of spirits you got? Good ones.
I
All
know.
right.
And I hate when y'all do all that damn mixers and sweet and sour. Please don't put all that artificial shit. Put a spirit, some sort of sweetener, some juices, and let's just keep it simple. But let's keep it a little bit more natural. I don't like all the artificial stuff. Um, yeah, and so like knowledgeable, friendly staff, good food that's in stock, and then reasonable price points. Like I feel like I'm not asking for too much, and also just not taking so long, because I feel like one thing about a lot of black restaurants, the timing is crazy.
It doesn't matter. Time is not a thing.
Oh
at
my
black
god!
restaurants.
Like
It's
it
like
be CP time at the restaurants. Like you'll go, you'll have if you don't have a reservation, it's 2 hour wait. If you have a reservation, it's an hour wait. It's crazy. And then you go, you sit down, the server take 15 minutes, come get you. You ask for water, it's another 10 minutes. You get drinks, another 20 minutes. Then you order your food, it's another 30 minutes. You wind up being there for 3 hours, and y'all got like appetizers and an entree, and it's like, why did this take so long? I don't want this to be an all day event.
And I remember like when I was managing at that black spot, the black owned place, I was like, the thing that threw me off the most was the door. I was like, this is a brunch spot. Why are people waiting like an hour and a half, 2 hours? Like when I first got there, they were like, okay, you're going to be like managing the door and make sure everything is good. Like making sure, customer issues taken care of. So like, hospitality manager, cool. I love doing that, but it was just like, when I first got there, I was like, what? Like, why? Okay, they have a reservation. They're here a little early. Why aren't we letting them sit if no one's in the restaurant? They're like, up your reservations at this. You got 10 minutes. You could just sit right there and wait. No one's in the restaurant. And my GM, because I'm just this manager, my GM is like, yeah, that's the rule. They got to wait. Oh, no. This ain't going to work. If you want me to work here, we got to work something out. Yeah. The first time I had to like have like full charge of the restaurant when the GM was out and the owner was like doing something. It was like a holiday. It was at Juneteenth and it was Father's Day. It was a couple years ago. It was that Sunday. And I remember like we went from like a 2 hour wait to like nobody waited more than 45 minutes. All the servers and everybody, they were like, this is like probably one of the smoothest services we've ever had. And like even everyone's like, how did you make this work? I was like, for one, if you actually just move through the door, actually look at people's times, like honor reservations, like, push meals along, communicate with the staff about where everyone is in their meals so that you have like good markers of when people are getting up, who's sitting down, know how far behind your kitchen is, know when to shut off your to-go orders because your kitchen might be too backed up. Why do you have 10,000 DoorDash orders coming in and 10,000 DoorDash drivers in your waiting area that should be reserved for the people who are already on a 2 hour wait? While you got, it's just so much going on. It's like if you just eliminate all that, you actually might have some smooth service, and you actually might get some good, some good reviews from this.
And you'll make more money when you understand your limitations, because trying to service everybody all at one time, you're going to wind up refunding. People are going to send food back. People are going to leave who are on the reservations. People are going to walk out if the line is too long. So just managing your expectations and how realistically your capabilities will serve you best in the long run.
See, I worked at I remember, like, we were at Barcelona. One thing, it was like Valentine's Day. They would rent extra tables to like put in the aisles because it's like when I tell you, we had to but it was like I feel like we had like a whole new floor chart for when it was like Valentine's Day specifically because of all the reservations we would get. Valentine's Day was the one day that I refused to serve. You know what I used to do on every Valentine's Day? I used to be in a dish pit. I wasn't a dishwasher. I would literally just put an apron on, I put an apron on and be that person standing there like, give me your dishes, I got it, because it would be so busy. I was like, you know what, the dishwasher don't like none of y'all, no way. I'll stand here and make sure stuff get placed right, because that's just, I was like, nah, hell no, I can't do this. But what they also did, like, yes, it was packed, it was uncomfortable, but they also prepared for the uncomfort. Like they literally for like the next few months after Valentine's Day, most of the guests that we would get would have these vouchers from Valentine's Day, because they knew they always prepared for, we're going to be so packed, it's going to be such a shit show, we know we're going to have to comp some meals, and we know we're going to have to invite people back. So it never failed. Every single Valentine's Day, we are packed out. Yeah, some people didn't have a good experience. We either cop their meal or they're going to come back, later on. And you have people for the next few months like, oh, yeah, I came on Valentine's Day. It was such a shit show. But they said I could come back and get a free meal. I was like, but it was like, that's why they winning.
And, I know Black people get a bad reputation for, like, dining. People just have negative stereotypes about Black people at restaurants. But I will say, like, when it comes to Black-owned spots, it's never not packed, especially in Atlanta. They are so supportive, like the Black audience. Every place I go, every brunch spot I've been, every Black-owned restaurant, any Black-owned club, lounge, packed every time I go. And that's why the wait is so long, because so many people are in there trying to support. And you can see a lot of thriving businesses. And so I guess I am a little bit picky in particular about how these restaurants and these establishments structure, because I want them to survive and last, because there is a built-in audience already ready there for you, willing to support you, which I think is dope.
Yeah. Now, since you brought that up, now what are some of the things? What are the top things that annoy you about Black-owned restaurants in Atlanta? Because everyone's like, oh, like every time I feel like everyone's like, oh, you could tell, like, it was a bad review. They're like, oh, you could tell that was Atlanta. Like, you could just tell from, like, somebody didn't have to say it, but you could tell from, like, looking at, like, reading an experience. Like, yeah, that shit had to happen in Atlanta.
To be honest, my expectation of Black-owned restaurants is the same as any restaurant. Like I said, it's like, be knowledgeable and be friendly. Like, you don't have to kiss ass. I actually hate when I feel like they're doing too much, or you're diving a little bit too into the experience. Like, we can just keep it casual and cute, but a simple acknowledgement of a hello when I walk in, or how can I help you? Are you dining in? And then, asking questions about it. But like I said before, it's just being able to understand your capabilities and working within that. If your restaurant is the size of this filming room, you can't fit 10 tables in here. That's ridiculous. I don't want to be on somebody's lap when I'm trying to dine in. You know what I mean? And you trying to squeeze all these people in, and you only have one server or one bartender trying to do the whole thing. So just understanding your capabilities, what you can reasonably manage, what you can reasonably serve, how you can reasonably staff, how you can reasonably price, and in your timelines. Yes, and I just think that making sure that all of your employees go through the proper training of the steps of service. And I feel that way for every restaurant. The timeline of, greeting and getting the drinks out, getting the food out, checking back, making sure that everything is okay. And also, one thing in particular that I know that Black restaurants in particular do is that they will refuse to take any food or drink back.
I talked about this last interview.
That is crazy to me.
I told a story about how, like, this one place was like, it was so terrible, and like as soon as I picked the plate up and took it back to my manager, she was like, you never picked a plate up because you accept responsibility. I was like, wait, what?
And I feel like, to be honest, I've only seen that at Black restaurants. Like, any other restaurant in general, that's not like, or that, I guess that's not true. It's not everyone's, but you know, especially if you make changes, some restaurants will be like, we can't accept, returns if you've modified it, or they won't accept modifications for certain things. But I noticed at a lot of black restaurants, they were like, no returns at all. You can never send a drink back, never send food back. It's never.
Shit can have a hair in it. Be like, well, we picked it out for you.
It could be undercooked. It could be not served right. You could ask for something to be removed and it wasn't. You can have an allergen. Yep. The drink is too spicy, whatever, and they will not take it back and not take it off your bill. And I think that that's crazy because I'm like, you have to understand that's just part of the business.
It's part of hospitality.
It's part of the, and that's why you build in your cost for your food and your beverage and your labor and stuff, so that you have a margin, so that things like this, you can do voids, you can do comps, you can do returns, you can do coupons, but you're still making a profit. So that's the main thing, where it's just like, absolutely not. We will not be taking this back. We will not be doing any returns, no exchanges. We will not be giving you any discounts, any coupons, any codes. We also will be charging you 20% automatically, and you better not say nothing about it, or I'm gonna whoop your mama.
And we got to-go boxes. And we ain't got no damn.
Like, I feel like y'all mad at me for dining in. I'm trying to help you out.
To go silverware. What you want to do? It's like, make your mind up.
Yo.
I mean, and I think like that's one thing that, like you said, like they don't factor that into like their food costs. Because it's like, it's in training too, because like stuff like that was crazy to me, because like with my background and like where I was used to working, I was like, oh, like my training is, as soon as someone tells they don't like something, it's like, oh, you know what? So sorry about that. Tell me what you don't like. Let me get you a menu. Let me get this out of your way. Take it back to the kitchen. Talk to the chef. You look over.
Yeah.
And
figure out what the issue was.
That's what I said. You find out what the issue was. You give them a menu. Hey, you know what? Well, sorry about that. Because the places I worked, I'm used to places where they don't play that. Like, if something is wrong, you bring that shit back.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't want the restaurant to look bad. They didn't want anything to be like, they didn't want to like be not satisfied with their meals. They wanted everything to be quality. They want to have a great experience. Yeah. So I'm used to, okay, I give them a menu. By the time I go back to the kitchen, I never had to hear. I mean, if the kitchen was just shit busy and it was on fire and I walk back in there to bring something back, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get, what the fuck is it now? Like, I'm pretty sure.
It's gonna take like 15, 20 minutes, but you still gonna get it.
They gonna be mad the whole day, but they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and as soon as you bring, and because how it's supposed to go is, as soon as you bring that plate back to the kitchen, they're like, the chef, the first question usually is, all right, what do they want instead? Yeah. That's usually in a great kitchen, the way it's supposed to work. Yeah. Chef is, all right, what do they want instead? Hey, I gave them a menu. I'm gonna go back and see, give them a few minutes. All right, cool. Yeah. That doesn't happen at black places. Not one black place that I've ever like worked for or associated with has ever done that. Yeah. Like, I had to debate when I worked at that brunch spot. Like, this person ordered a steak medium. Shit came out well done. First of all, don't have motherfuckers making steaks if they don't know how to make a steak, because steak is not like eggs. You gotta know how to cook steak. And I'm sitting up here and they're like, and my GM was like, nah, they still gotta pay. No, why? I don't feel right. Like, and I was like, no, I will. No, I'm stepping in.
Or they cut into it and saw.
Yeah, it was well,
and like, didn't eat it at all.
It was every black person don't like well done.
Shaking the table.
I'm talking about that thing go wobbling, but. About to break her wrist in half trying to cut that. And it's not. I mean, I know a lot of us like well done steak, but I'm not one of them. Mm-hmm. Like, if I ask for a medium steak, which is how I usually order, and you bring me a well done, you bring me a country fried steak or a tough ass piece of meat.
You bring me a hockey disc, I'm gonna be mad.
And that's what I literally had to like step into I was like, y'all, we can't. Like, they're like, well, it's because it was just such a huge thing. Like, the kitchen manager everybody was debating, like, well, what do we do?
What should be what we do? Not y'all having a group discussion.
Because they're just like, we don't take food back. Like, it's on the menu. Like, all orders are fine, this or that. I'm like, as a manager, I do not feel comfortable like making this person pay for this. Just make her another steak and make sure that the person making it this time knows temperatures. That's it, because that's on your kitchen. Yeah. It's on your kitchen for not being prepared for that. It's on your expo for not even check. You know what I'm saying? If you dealing with a place that serves food like that, you got to have markers for, all right, this is me, this and that, da-da-da-da. Your expo should know, all right, it's so many lines of defense to like ensure great service to
Mm-hmm.
me that like when some things make it to a table, like that's why like I can't go eat everywhere because I get so easily annoyed. It's like, okay, if it made it past the cook, that was already wrong. It made it past the expo, that was already wrong. Why did your food runner not know how the food was supposed to look? Why when
Yeah.
it hit the table was the server not walking by within the first few minutes to make sure that it looked right or that everything? You know, it's just like everybody needs to be on top of it. But I feel like a lot of times when it comes to us in this industry, whether we're serving or whether we're the ones being served, it's just like
Yeah.
nobody cares. Nobody cares. I try to get people that I was like, you know what? Let's ask about allergies. You know, before that might help. You know, with sending things back. You know, everybody was like, we're not asking people for no allergies. It was a mostly black staff. They was like, we're not.
Oh, that's
We've
wild.
never done it. We're not going to start now. And I was like, I can't get no backup as a manager for making people ask about allergies. Like I just, it
Yeah.
was like, okay,
Yeah.
because it's not a concern.
Yeah.
Like I feel like when it comes to us, we care about certain things. We care about the image of a place. Like I know I know you have this thing where you feel like okay. I know how you feel about like Hennessy and jerk everything and like what we do. Do you feel like the menus are all the same for these places?
I mean, in a sense, but because you're gonna go with what you know, and there's only so many ways you can fry a chicken and grill a lamb chop and glaze a salmon. And I feel like that's like the main three things. But I mean, as long as you do it well, there's 1,000 burger restaurants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can name 10 fast food places that serve hamburgers. It's all the same hamburger, but they all do it differently. So even
Yeah.
if the cuisine is similar, I'm gonna pick this place because I want the ambiance. I'm gonna pick this place because I have a good brunch. Pick this place because I like the salmon or whatever. So even if the menu is similar, if you add your own flair to it, or you just do a really good job, or you have great service, or your hours are more extended than everybody else, or you're just in a great neighborhood spot, or you have some weekly specials, that's fine. It doesn't bother me too much. Like, yes, I noticed a lot of the cuisine is similar, but that's restaurants in general. It's 1,000 places I can go get wings in Atlanta. You can get a burger, you can get chicken, you can get you know what I mean. There's a lot of the food is gonna be similar, but as long as you have a good quality product, and make for a good experience, it's okay to be. Yeah.
No, like it's. I mean, hey, I totally get it. I would like to see. I think as far as black owned restaurants here, I would. I think. I feel like it's kind of like we're catering to something else. Like it's gone are the days are where like we have things. I don't want to say Piccadilly is like the model, but gone are the days where we have places like that where all right, we have places in our neighborhoods where you can go and afford a decent meal. I feel like that transition's happening now. So where it's like the menus and the prices aren't reflecting the neighborhood. If that makes sense. It's like you just opened a restaurant. I'm not saying it's anyone in particular, but like you open a restaurant on Cascade, which depending on the end of Cascade, you might be like, I know there's a Baltimore crab and seafood on like the 285 end of Cascade. And that's pretty, that's high end for, the area. And they do pretty well. But that shit would never make it in the West End part of Cascade because it's like, it's not. But, you have places over there that for the price point that do survive. Like Slutty Vegan is over there. All the pretty much every great vegan place in Atlanta is in the West End. So I remember one thing that I heard when like Slutty Vegan opened up, everyone was like, she's not gonna make it because she's charging too much. And I was like, yeah, I don't think that Atlanta, the just in general, outside of just us, just the entire Atlanta altogether does not understand like what it means for a place to start becoming a foodie city. I don't think they understand like, okay, it doesn't matter how much they charge. Foodies don't care. If it's something that's popular, if it's something that's gone viral or whatever, then it's like, okay, it's going to be a line. We're going to support it. And it's just like, oh, we're getting to that point now And do you feel like with it, and I'll say in particular with like all the food reviewers that have now been coming and reviewing Atlanta food, like Keith Lee came, and that I have never in my doggone life, I have never seen people so shook. Like I've never seen. I saw the pandemic happen. We seen a lot. The restaurant go through a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen the entire restaurant community in Atlanta so shook as when Keith Lee came. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking. Do you remember them niggas had to have a town hall meeting? I said, you
I can't remember what restaurants he went to because I feel like they're not like big. Well, what restaurants did he go to? Do you remember?
Did he go to Busy Bee?
I don't know. I didn't. I never got the list
He went to.
because he went to a couple and then he like left early or something. Didn't.
He went to. I gotta look the list up. I'm gonna look the list up because he. I mean, he just said. I mean, I feel like the whole thing was like. I feel like he didn't say it, but I feel like his attitude was, "What the fuck is this?" Like because remember, like after he left here, I think he like was going to Houston. Everybody in Houston was like, "Get ready,"
Yeah.
because Atlanta just went through hell. Like we got such like I think the service was like I think Atlanta was the place where he went to a restaurant and he tried like I think he sent his sister or somebody. Oh, it may have been like he sent them in and they couldn't
Mm-hmm.
get a seat, or they tried to seat him ahead of people who had been waiting,
Mm.
and he was like, "No, they've
Yeah.
kind of been in line, like." And I was like, that sounds like some Atlanta shit right there.
Yeah.
Like niggas be like, I've been in
Yeah.
line for an hour and a half, and somebody like walk by, and the man would be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
come on, we got you." It's like, oh, did you not?
Yeah.
Like,
But
yeah,
I feel like Atlanta is one of those places that like, and I was thinking this the other day, and it's not just the hospitality industry, but it's like Atlanta is one of those places like, oh, if you know, you know. Like you have to be in the know in order to get the best experience out of the city. Like you got to know what clubs to go to on what night. You got to know what restaurants are the best, and it's not going to be like the main ones, or it might be a little hidden, or it might be on the west side where some people may not go, or the best place to get your hair done, which shops. You know, you might have to go to the south side, or you know what I mean. And I just feel like it's encapsulated in its culture, and you have to have a local kind of guide you because you can come to Atlanta and do all the regular touristy stuff and be like, oh, okay, this is fine. But honestly, some of the best stuff, the best food, the best entertainment activities and things that have been rooted within the city, and you have to kind of ingrain yourself in it to really get an understanding of it. And I think that's kind of what happened. And two, it's like if you, like we said before, if you go into a black-owned restaurant, baby, you gonna wait. It's gonna be a lot of people there. It's gonna be a line. You know what I mean? And for him to come, um, it to me it would serve best if he had because he just gets just like Instagram recommendations, but it would really serve best if he had like ambassadors, quote unquote, in each city to kind of guide him and be like, okay, you should go here. Let's make a reservation here. Don't go here because it's crazy on. Yeah, it's like it's crazy on Saturday, but if you go on a Wednesday, you know, it's not that crazy, but you know, the food's still good and stuff like that. So he really kind of needs more of a guide or anybody. I feel like that comes to the city. You need somebody that's like been here for a while and grew up here to really help you navigate and all that.
yeah.
To curate, you know, a good experience.
It's like going to New York and being like, you know what? Where can I get the best bacon, egg, and cheese in Manhattan? Brooklyn, nigga. That's where you can go.
But I feel like the difference with New York and Atlanta is like New York, you can literally just like find something. Like it's so much and it's out and it's there that you can find something decent. True, like the best things are probably the hidden gems. But like I said, I feel like Atlanta is a little bit behind the wall in a sense.
Yeah, you gotta like, and I feel like like our food. Like I was just telling somebody the other night. They were like, "Oh, you know, we were gonna." Oh, I got a question, Darren. I think this one did it stop? I'm sorry, my bad. I literally just looked up because I was like, "What time is it?" But I think that this one is this on 26:44, and I was like, "Sorry, my bad." Because I was looking at the time that we got, and I was like, "Wait, we only been talking 26 minutes."
No, mine says an hour.
And I was
I
just
got you
looking
with your
at,
mouth open.
I thought I was just looking at my reflection. I literally just thought I was looking at my reflection. Like I just, I don't know. Okay. Hello. Feel like I'm about to do the robot.
Oh, is that, oh yeah.
Yeah, GoPros, they pretty good.
See, I was gonna get that instead of getting a Sony, but then I was like, I'm gonna try the Sony first.
I would try the. Have you heard of the Osmo?
The what?
I had to show you.
Heard Osmo. Like Cosmo. Okay. See, I think what is that like the Sony? I got the ZVE10, so that kind of looks like the one that I got right there. Oh, repairing your file. Sorry, Brittany.
There you go.
I was like, hold on, because I literally was just like 26 minutes. Oh, hi, I see me. Yay.
It's so funny how that's like the common thing for electronics. It's like, have you tried turning it off and turning it on? Oh yeah. And then it should be like brand new.
And
That's all it takes.
we're back. You know, it's oh man, I forgot where we were. We were talking about Keith Lee.
Oh, and I was saying things like behind the wall and
Yes.
like New York, it's kind of more out front.
Yeah. So like but I think like with Atlanta, like okay, like I remember I was talking about like strip clubs. I was like, somebody that hasn't been here or is not familiar with like the culture here would look at you sideways if you were like, you want to go to Magic City for lunch? They were like, and there's strip club? It's like, yeah. Do you want to go for lunch? Like, it's like, do I got to keep asking you? Do you want to go? Like, they don't understand. Like, some of the top chefs work at strip clubs. Like, I got a homeboy. He stay at Blue Flame for happy hour for
That's
lunchtime.
wild.
Like, you know, but it's so many people that like I don't. You know, it's just like that's just the culture. Like, they may work for the city. They may work for like these great. It's like for lunch, I'm finna go down to Flame and get me a special. But it's like a lot of people would be like, what is the fascination with like this? And I'm like, I couldn't even explain it. But places like that are holes in the wall. Like,
I told you some of my favorite wings I had. It's like this place on Metropolitan. Some of the best fried fish I had was this gas. I think I went with you. It was like this place next to the gas station. It was just like fried. It didn't have no special name. It was just like fried fish.
I probably did too. Was it on the west side?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you don't go to the east side, so
do not.
it was like some catfish on some white bread. The surprise was like $6.99.
Yeah,
Some
it
of
might
the
have been at
best.
East Point.
Yeah,
Yeah, it might have been East Point. I know what you're talking about.
yeah, right next to the gas station, and just like how Quavo got his club on top of the gas station at Georgia Tech,
Georgia Tech, and then
State.
BP. But first of all, that BP is like, see, and that's the thing. Like, certain gas stations have just never just only been gas stations.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like my whole life, because it's across from Varsity too. Like, I feel like that BP in particular is like car show meetup, after party, like parking lot pimping. Like, that's what I've always gotten from there. And then they put like a Tim Hortons downstairs. I was like, okay, Tim Hortons gonna class it up. And then as soon as they put a Tim Hortons, I was like, nigga, is this a nightclub on top?
Yep.
Ain't this some Atlanta shit? Like the one, like I thought we was trying to clean the shit up. And them niggas
Extremely Atlanta.
I was like, and it be packed.
Yeah.
It is packed. Like, I'm like, we just and like people like would never like who aren't from here, have never been here. They do not understand when I tell them. I'm like, everything is a party here. Everything. Like, I'll go places like up like in New York and stuff, and I'm like, man, I see us, but where's the music? Where's the like the vibe? Like it's just and they don't understand. I'm like, here, everything's a party. Like I can go out right now. I had a time of my life, a day party. If you catch the people that just leaving the after hours at like 7 or 8, you can go to another spot. You're going to get like it's literally, it doesn't matter what time of day it is.
Yeah.
You can go have you some fun here. Yeah. And I think that plays a huge part in like that is like that part of hospitality is something that I think people don't talk about enough, because I think I've seen a lot of people talk about the decline in like Atlanta nightlife. But I don't realize the part that hospitality plays in that. Like, everyone's like, oh, well, what's going on with Atlanta nightlife? Why is it dying? I'm like, well, everyone wants to be so exclusive. Like, no one, when you go to all these clubs and stuff, like, no one's nice or anything anymore. That's why, like, even like, I was like, yesterday, you were like, pick a place to go that's not the places you always go. And I was
Which is nothing wrong with the places you go. Like, they're little small kind of hole in the walls. They're very, very casual. You know what I'm saying? You can roll up in tennis shoes and sweatpants. It is what it is. But it's a good time. And I feel like there needs to be a balance of it. I do want to have like a more adult time too, where it's like people are a little bit older. It's not 19 and 20-year-olds. You know what I mean? But I also don't want it to be like places where You don't always want to go places that have a strict dress code, or you got to wear heels, or the drinks is $25 a pop, and it's like, damn, it's good to have a good mix of both. And most of the time, I'm going to go to more casual spots because I don't like the pretension of oh, I'm amongst the elites or whatever. Because when we went out last night, like I had a good time, and really it's about knowing the people because knowing the bouncers, the bartenders, people that gonna get you in, gonna hook you up, get you a drink. You know what I mean?
See, that's my biggest thing. Like we didn't know anybody like last night, but the security was cool.
Yeah,
that being nice,
real chill.
We didn't have to pay to get in.
Right. That's my favorite part. Ooh, I love going out and I haven't opened my wallet. I ain't got to pay for shit.
You see, like stuff like that, like that's just like I feel like when I think about like a good like when I think of it's like a good time, and then it's like when I think about Atlanta, I think about a good ass black time.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I love a good black time.
Night.
Good black
you
night.
A good black ass night on Edgewood.
Oh, see, that's like Edgewood is perfect example.
Pre-pandemic.
Of course, pre-pandemic, but like prime example of good ass black time. What I mean, you had some little scaffolds.
Yeah.
You had some things unfold, but for the most part, the energy was great.
Yeah.
No one was like it. I mean, you had some pretension in the air, but it was like everyone was amongst everyone.
Yeah.
And it's like now I'll go to Edgewood. I might go to our bar. Shout out to our bar. But this is different now because the Sound Table's gone, department store is gone, Noni's is gone. Black Sheep is Hendrix now. What else left over?
I used to love Sound
Mother's
Table.
is gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Mother's is closed.
Oh,
I know, right? Remember I got kicked out of there?
I don't recall, but that's very on brand for you. So I'm not surprised. Okay. I've never been kicked out of nowhere, but I know you just be on some other shit sometimes. I don't know what you be doing to be kicked out and thrown out of these places, but it's happened more than once. So I'm like, you know what?
That was I specifically remember I started throwing up in the trash can.
Oh.
But I was so drunk I didn't know that the trash can was the one behind the bar. I don't know how I made it behind the bar, but I was like more like throwing up in that trash.
Like, get this nigga
They was
out
like,
here.
yeah, she gotta go.
Yeah.
Like you called, I was like, yeah, girl, walking down Edgewood. He was like, why are you? I was like, they kicked me out. Yeah, so don't take me out. Don't let me drink. But so stuff like that is like, I didn't have to worry about like but it was no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
I could still go back and it's like, yeah, she got a little messed up, but it was still like a family environment, still family vibe. Now it's more, everyone wants to be so exclusive. It's like, I don't want to party with this person. I don't want to party with this person. I feel like when you have all those things, like, if you just want to party within your tax bracket, I feel like shit like that messes with, like, the hospitality part of it. Because it's like, that I feel like hospitality is supposed to be something that is inclusive. Like, it makes everyone feel warm. It makes everyone feel welcome. And, like, those are the vibes that are really hard to catch now.
Yeah.
Here, whether it's a place that serves food or not, like Friends doesn't serve food, but that's a good ass black time. Like it's certain things, and it's not anything particular. It's just the people there. You can tell when people have like a spirit of hospitality and they actually give a fuck about who comes in and who goes out. And everyone's safety and everyone's experience.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you get that energy from a lot of people in Atlanta when you go out?
The energy of like
that energy of I want to be here, or that energy or the spirit of hospitality in a sense, like that welcoming. Like I know, like that kind of determines like places that you go to is like a regular, because it's like I go here because I know the vibe is always going to be good. They're always going to make me feel great because the people just care.
To be honest, it's kind of 50-50. Because I was telling my friend, this was like last Monday, and I was having a terrible day. Like, it was just a long day at work. It was cold. Like, I was ready to go home. And then fuck-ass Georgia Power was talking about, due to some emergency repairs, we have to, like, they basically cut off the power in East Atlanta, like the whole power grid, due to some sort of emergency repairs. So I realized, like, it was like 6:30 at night, already pitch black, and then I get this notification I ain't got no power in my apartment. I'm like, fuck. All right, so let me go to this little food hall. One, I'm hungry. I literally went to the grocery store to buy groceries to go cook at home, and then I got that notification that my power was out. So I was like, all right, well, I can't do. I'm hungry. I'm gonna get something to eat. So I go to this food hall, and I'm just looking at the stalls, and I was like really in the mood for a burger, I think at the time, and so I go find one, and I go up to the stall. When I tell you it was like a counter and then like four seats, um, and just like a little stall. And when I tell you, when I walked up, all the employees were like sitting at the counter and looked at me like, "Why the fuck are you standing right here?"
Did you not see us here?
Mind you, they was wide open. It was hours before they closed. It was like 6:30. They closed at like 9 o'clock. The market was pretty empty. Like wasn't a ton of people, but they were just looking at me like, "Can I fucking help you?"
Don't you see us talking? Do you not see us sitting
Why would
down?
you interrupt my break like this? Shit, now I gotta get up. So it's like four of them sitting down. One of them gets up, goes behind the counter. How can I help you? Hey, I just want to get the burger, if I could. She looks at one of the guys on the counter. She's like, "We got any hamburger buns?" He's like, "No, we ain't got no buns." She was like, "We ain't got no buns for your burger, bitch." Like shit like that is what irks the fuck out of me. God damn, like y'all don't know how to like. One, you're so unimpressed that I'm here. You're actually angry that I'm bringing money to your establishment that you had to work. And then I have shit in stock. Like what? And that was like the final. Like when I tell you, I wanted to jump behind that counter like that dude did that judge. I was so fucking mad.
First of all, he just got 25 to 65
Listen,
years. You better stop.
Listen, the older you get, it's like you understand being hangry. I had a long day. I've been to work all day, and I couldn't even go home and cook no food because I didn't have no power. And you sitting here playing in my face, talking about you ain't got no goddamn buns. Bitch, if you don't take your ass across the street and go to Kroger and get a goddamn bun so I can get this burger. I was so mad. And it's just shit like that. And I was like, I will never go to this place again. That was like, and if they would have been like kind, like at least helpful, I'm like, hey, sorry about that, blah, blah, blah. Or at least offer like, hey, I can put it on lettuce. You didn't offer shit. She just told me, we ain't no buns for your burger. Bitch.
Can I get 3 patties instead?
I got a knuckle sandwich for you, bitch. How about that? So it's just like his experiences like that. I'd be like, Atlanta, what y'all be on? Man? What do y'all be on?
Because it's like people like we'll get into the industry and it's like they don't care. It's like, hey, it's great to make. The one thing about this, especially now, like we're like with Tootie adding and shit like that, like you could just make like if you just know somebody that can get you in a restaurant, you can pretty much just stand there and not know shit and just make all the money you need to make. And I'm not hating, like, that's a great thing, but, like, just give a fuck sometimes. Like, it's nothing worse than working in this industry and being, like, one of the few people on staff that gives a fuck.
Oh, man.
It's like, and it's usually the black person. Usually the black, like, no, not all the time. But, like, for the most part, it's like, dang, like, I gotta care. I see ain't nobody else gonna help. Okay, so I gotta put my hands in. I gotta, it's like, I think that drives a lot of good people out of the industry, too.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're overworked, you underpaid, or even if you're making good money, you still feel like you underpaid because you're doing everybody else's job.
Yeah.
Like if I gotta come back here and help this bartender make these drinks, I want my credit back. I want my money.
Helping them make the drinks, and then you tipping them out. You ain't getting no percentage, none of their tips. You know what I mean? Like it's no sharing of the wealth, but you sharing the workload. So it's like.
You gotta love it.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to someone who has like maybe have a background similar to yours and is getting into hospitality or may just want to get into this field to kind of try to, work their way through their dreams or navigate, through their career? What advice would you give them?
I feel like I would just say, any job that you do, just educate yourself. It's actually really fascinating when you get to it. Like, again, I never dreamed of like being in this industry or thought I would be in it this long, but it is pretty fascinating. Like the things that I've learned about like food safety and like mixology and just pairings and stuff like that. I feel like it's made me a better cook working in restaurants. I've learned a lot of the secrets and tips of the trade. So it's made me a much better cook, a better baker. I know how to make drinks really well. I enjoy hosting. So just like learn and have fun. Just let it be a skill that you have and you use. Like learn about the food. It makes you a more interesting person and makes you more knowledgeable. It just makes you more impressive. And then take the skills, even if you don't stay in this industry, take the skills that you've acquired, like the public speaking, like the improvisation that you do, like the salesmanship that you do, because you're as a server, you're in sales. Like the marketing you may be doing or the just any skills that you pick up, learn to hone that in, and you can apply it in so many different ways, and just make yourself a better person. But one thing I would tell anybody with, regardless of the industry, is just be a curious person. That's what helps you be better in whatever industry you're in. Like, ask questions, learn new things, be curious about what you're doing and what your industry has going on, or what your job has going on, or you know the things that you are doing, and that just makes you overall better at what you're doing.
Curiosity killed the cat. Except when it didn't.
I don't think that's how I go, but we go.
That's how I go in my
All
head.
right.
I was like,
I was like, I don't think that's how
except,
that ended.
except
but-
when it didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So what do you have? What are you doing right now as far as the industry goes, and as far as your career goes? Because you're an amazing actress, by the way. So what's taking place right now with this?
In the hospitality industry for me. Right now, I'm a catering coordinator for a restaurant group, and I took that back in July because I wanted to get off the floor. I was kind of tired of serving, but I do like the idea of just like doing live events. I've done live events ever since I was in college. I was on different organizations, and you had to put on different events and host different things. And so doing events and kind of also working with marketing and things like that. It's something I realized that I enjoy. Just like I'm a natural like promotional person. I could sell something easily. I think that's why it helped that I was a server. Is easy for me because if I genuinely like something, or it's easy for me to promote it. Because if I like something, then I like to learn more about it. Then I'm knowledgeable about it. Then I can tell other people about it. Like I was in Walmart a couple of months ago, and it was these two older black ladies in front of me, and I was like, "Excuse me, ladies, can I just get this lotion?" Because they were kind of standing in the front, and they're like, "Yeah, is it good?" And I was like, and then I just went into like promotion. I was like, "You know what? It's actually amazing. It smells nice. Like it lasts all day. It leaves your skin moisturized." I don't know why. I opened the top and like let them smell it. I was like, "Here, you should just take it." Like literally became the salesperson for this like lotion in Walmart. But it was just a natural thing that happened. They're like, "Oh, that is good." And you know what's crazy? I went back to Walmart like a few days later. There was one bottle of that lotion left. Somebody had, I don't know if they went and bought it or I told somebody. I don't know if it was a coincidence, but it was stocked that day. I went back like a few days later, a week later, shit was gone. So I was like, I'm a natural salesman at this point. But when I care and when I'm passionate about it, that's just kind of how it works. But yeah, so I've been in catering. So it's a little bit different. And it's more of a 9 to 5, which is nice. I get my nights and my weekends back. Thank you, Jesus. I get to like have more of a work-life balance. But I am kind of staring at a screen a lot, which is different. But it's a nice change of pace.
You still have the freedom to be a creative.
Still have the freedom. I still audition like nights and weekends. I still go out. I feel like I go out more now, and where I'm like trying to be more purposeful of like, okay, I don't want to just go to work and go home and repeat the cycle all day every day. I want to work during the week. I want to do my responsibilities like cleaning my apartment, washing my clothes, keeping things clean, keeping my bills paid, and all this during the week. And then on the weekends, I want to do something fun. I want to do something creative. I want to do something new. So in the past couple of months, I've been like going to the museum. The Swiss Beats Alicia Keys exhibit at the High is amazing. I went to like some Christmas bars. I've been going out at night, just hanging out with friends and doing different things. So it really kind of helps a bit more with the balance because when I was serving, most jobs I was a night server, and so I feel like that takes way more of your time because that means my day has to stop at like 2:30 to make sure I get ready and go and be at work on time. And then if you get up at like, even if you get up at like 10, it only gives you a few hours to like eat and do anything you got to do. And then, you're working your weekends, you're working your doubles. So it feels like, and then for most places, I never got 2 consecutive days off. It would just be like a Monday and a Thursday, or this week I get Wednesday and Saturday, or, it's so random and sporadic that I feel like I can never plan out anything unless I purposely took time off. So it's helping with that balance.
So I'm glad you're finding a work balance. I feel like this, we're getting we're maturing. So
Okay,
we gotta learn a little
you
bit
was about
more.
to say something. I was like, huh? We getting what?
No, because I know you go. First of all, if I ever bring it up, I know you're gonna call me out and say I'm old.
Right, because I respect my elders. I want to go do that.
Thank you. See, Um, so, if you would like for people to like reach out to you, if they had any questions or anything, because I think your career path is like something that a lot of people experience.
Mm-hmm.
Have gone to college and they have a lot of experience. Um, you know that, and then they jump into the work field and they gain even more experience, and it's like, dang, like how do I, like what?
Yeah.
How do I maintain who I am
Yeah.
on this journey? So if you would like for people to reach out to you, how can they do that?
Well, first of all, don't ask me shit. That's no, I'm just playing. You can follow me on Instagram if you like. It's at it's Brittany Live. ITSBRITTANYLIVE on Instagram. You can DM me or follow me if you'd like. If you got questions about the industry, hospitality, or entertainment, yeah, that's how I can be reached. You still on that? Don't answer.
Just don't ask her shit.
Okay, you gotta honestly, like I'm really, I feel like I'm really giving and forthcoming with information. I don't mind, but only when I want to be bothered. You gotta catch me at the right time.
That is very true. And
Yeah.
also, we at that point too where it's like, hey, if you'll pay a therapist, don't ask me shit for free. So it's like we have these things called consultants now.
Okay.
Like, so it's a, hey, like my daddy always say, I give you a couple rounds of free advice. And next time I'm bill you.
Because the game is to be sold, not told.
Yeah, no, won't it?
You know what I mean?
Well, I thank you for coming on. I think it was a really interesting conversation. We always talk for long periods of time, so I feel like this was just like another conversation that we probably had like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do appreciate you, and I pray this episode does very well, and that you continue to grow in your career. I know you are, so I know God got you, so you're doing amazing. And you'll
Don't hold it down, POP.
We all we got is that. Okay, all right, Brittany. Okay, so thank you all for tuning in. If you tuned in, and see you next time. Thank you so much.